Hello, folks. It's another edition of More Bad News, brought to you as always by Camel Cigarettes. Take the Camel's Challenge, smoke Camels for 30 days, and I guarantee you it's going to change your life. So, it's been another week of very bad news. Uh, I got to tell you, uh, I'm a bit under the weather. Yeah, I wear an N95 everywhere I go, uh, and I don't go anywhere. Uh, Nevertheless, there's always a possibility. You never know, and don't know what the incubation period is. A couple of weeks ago, I did go to a little fair, uh, and so I was indoors with a group of people for a significant amount of time. Uh, so we'll see. Uh, it's Shabbos. I'm recording today. I'll release it tomorrow on Sunday. Uh, so Uh, this is Mechalel Shabbos. It's a desecration of the Sabbath, which brings me back to 1969. I was well into my phase of drugs. Uh, the 60s, drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Well, I didn't get the sex. I mean, I ended my virginity in 1967, but uh, I married the woman that I would transform me into a man, and we were together for about 10 years. Um, so by 1969, I was already uh, buying uh, uh, dots of LSD, blotter acid. You get $1 for a dot on a blotter, and these were extremely well made, uh, 6 hours. So you knew it was around. The manufacturer guaranteed, and it was being made at Columbia University in there, I think, in their chemistry labs by PhD chemistry students. And it said it was 301 milligrams, and it certainly felt like it. It was just a full dose. And you'd buy a blotter for $25. You have 25 of these. And after a while you just didn't, you're always stoned. So I'm on my way to class at Yeshiva University, and we were having this was in the morning is when they did all the Hebrew classes, the Torah classes. Yeshiva University, you got a double education because the morning was always spent studying Torah. It's the same as my high school. It was from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. You don't understand the kind of concept here. They want to spend until 3 o'clock in the afternoon studying Torah and Gemara. And then at 3 o'clock, when you're okay, the rest of the day from 3 to 6:30, you finish up your English subjects, and that's the way it was at Yeshiva University. Your morning was spent with Torah, and so I'm flying, and I'm in this class. We're talking about being Machal Shabbos, and it's just so. But it never happened. It's like that you'd have to have two witnesses to come and warn you that what you're about to do is a violation of the Sabbath, and you can be the penalty is death. And then you have to have two witnesses that actually saw two other witnesses saw you do it, and the circumstances are so incredibly difficult to that no. So, but that didn't bother me. I'm in the class with my Rebbe, and I am just flying away. And I said, no, no, let's take it seriously here. I'm going to do this. Everything is prepared. I've got the two witnesses. I've got the other two witnesses. I am determined to be Machal Shabbos in public and to deserve the death penalty. Are you now justify to me that you're going to give me the death penalty for my defiance? So, oh God, those were the days. You can get pretty passionate, when you're flying around. So um, uh, I uh, was taking a class with Dr. Lewis Feldman, who let's see, do I have his? Yes, I have his book. Let me get it. I just got another of his books. Remember Amalek by Louis Feldman. Amalek. This is here. Let me just give you this. The divine commandment to exterminate all men, women, children, and even the animals of the Amalekite nation is what, in contemporary terms, we call genocide, right? Louis Feldman helps us to understand how the earliest commentators on the Bible, the Hellenistic Jewish philosophers of Philo and Pseudo-Philo and Josephus, dealt with this issue, okay? And so Feldman then broadens the issue by examining the positions of these ancient commentators on those biblical narratives relating to other cases where God commands the destruction of whole groups of people, namely the Great Flood, the utter destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, the plague of the firstborn in Egypt, the command to annihilate the seven nations. So this is my teacher. He was absolutely brilliant. He taught Greek and Latin at Yeshiva University for probably 60 years. And I took him for his Greek history and then the next semester Roman history. And those were his most popular courses. Uh, they had, I think, about 10 students. Uh, if you would wonder, why it is that Yeshiva University, uh, a really elite institution, there wouldn't be more people to take at least his history classes. His Greek and Latin classes were like 4, 5, 6, and he's 60 years. He never had more than 10 students in any class in any semester ever. So the reason was that his nickname was Captain Hook. And if there's one thing, the Yeshiva University students were ambitious, and nobody wanted to have a C on your transcript. And you were lucky you had to work for that. He was notorious for assigning 500 pages of reading a week. He had quizzes, midterm, a final, a debate, a paper. I mean, it was just, and when quizzes, you needed to go through the index and make sure that you knew every term in the index. I mean, he was the most demanding professor that I've ever known in my life. And I've known some demanding professors. So, uh, I am very proud of the fact that I said the hell with it. I was a history major. I took him for Greek history and Roman history, and I got 2 C's. And I'm proud of those C's. I tell you, more proud than of any of the A's, because it took courage to be around. But he was incredibly brilliant, and he knew everything. He just so so. Uh, I recently, looking for something to do, I picked up off my shelf this copy of The City of Libertines. You'll notice it's 50 cents. Oh, this is where it's 50 cents. It was published in 1958. The original hardcover was published in 1957. This was one of those things that you had when you went to a drugstore. They had a little carousel, and this was that. And I didn't buy it. My brother Ed bought this, and on the back it says it's a novel about two major themes. The first of these is physical passion of such high voltage that it dominates and consumes its victims, and the other is Rome itself when it was collapsing under its own corruption, self-indulgence, and sexual depravity. So I started to read it, and lo and behold, it is so fragile that it can't be read like this. It's just the pages are all collapsing and falling apart. So even just to show you this, it's coming apart in my and so that was not possible. So I went online and I got myself. Now you see, this one is 75 cents. This is the 1964 edition, and this is fine. So I'm reading this City of Libertines. It was gifted to me by my brother Ed, um, and over 50 years. I mean, I must have been 13, 14 when I hold it. The author W.G. Hardy is actually incredible guy, self-educated in Greek and Latin, then got a PhD from the University of Chicago and taught his career at the University of Alberta in Canada. But he was the president of the Literary Society, and he was an athlete, and he was the president of the Athletics Association. Just amazing, talented guy, and he wrote like 8 books, six novels, historical novels. This is one of his historical novels. He was an expert on Caesar, and so it just luck would have it. I stumbled upon a magnificent piece of very entertaining reading, um, and so that's what's keeping me busy. And as for the world around us, uh, we know that what is happening is that there's tremendous amount of instability. And you see that in, for example, Kuwait had a high temperature of 137 degrees. That was a year or two ago. Uh, and and that's not the norm. That's an extreme. The rains that we saw in Spain and in North Carolina, those were not, those were extremes. A few years ago here in Big Rapids in Michigan, well, all the way down to Texas, we had this polar vortex which covered the central part of the United States and sent us into an absolute deep freeze that just wouldn't let go. That's instability. That's abnormal. And so we know that we're experiencing incredible instability. And that instability is felt by every creature on the planet. All the animals feel it, all the humans feel it. And most of the humans don't understand what's going on. They're just like the animals, just afraid, and they're driven by fear. And when animals are driven by fear, my friend Ishmael Kali had a video. He has goats. He's a Bedouin, and he has goats. And so when they get scared, they follow the lead goat. They'll all run. If it's calm and everything's nice, they'll all be in the pasture going their own way. But when they get scared, they head for the lead goat, who takes them to safety. Suppose that there's no safety. So that's what's happening to us. The political situation is another manifestation of this planetary instability. And I noted that uh, after, I mean, I had to spend a couple of weeks withdrawn for my own sanity, because the outside is becoming more and more extreme and insane. And the outside is also coming closer and closer to my doorstep. So I needed a little time to recover. And I've begun this week, looking at news again. And I'll be back next week with another edition of More Bad News, with some details about the bad news of the week. In the meantime, you want to watch out for, I think it's called myocardial pneumonia, the walking pneumonia, which is just exploding. And also, I read that cancers are beginning to show up, colon cancer in particular, in children 10, 11, 12 years old, which is very much unprecedented. Reminds me a lot of the HIV early years, where young men were experiencing a very rare skin cancer, Kaposi's sarcoma, and lo and behold, it turned out that that was an effect of AIDS. And the suspicion is that COVID is leading our children to an early death by cancer. Um, I thank God that I am 77. I wish I was 87 or 97, would be even better. But I'm 77 and I'm still here, and I'll see you next week with more bad news. Stay safe, and make it count.